Top 3 musicians who hated Phil Collins. Phil Collins, a renowned drummer, vocalist, and songwriter, has significantly impacted music history. From his days as the drummer and lead singer of Genesis to his solo hits like In the Air Tonight, his influence on pop and rock music is clear. In the 1980s and 1990s, Collins's solo projects leaned toward pop and mainstream styles, prompting some critics to claim he deviated too far from the progressive rock heritage of Genesis. After Peter Gabriel's exit from the band, Collins transitioned from drummer and backup vocalist to lead singer. Many Genesis fans found it hard to accept Gabriel's departure and believed that Collins diminished the band's sound. His initial attempts to replace Gabriel were met with skepticism from fans who felt the band's identity had altered excessively. Despite the focus on his public persona, Collins was a skilled drummer. In addition to the iconic drum fill in the Air Tonight, he demonstrated a solid command of progressive rhythms, with precise snare rolls that influenced even the young Neil Peart. However, Collins faced a substantial amount of backlash throughout his career. His journey was marked not only by success but also by rivalry. Here are 3 musicians who hated Phil Collins the most. Roger Waters. Roger Waters is known for his strong viewpoints on various subjects. He has never hesitated to share them, especially regarding music. Waters famously disliked the mainstream rock scene of the 80s, a period dominated by Phil Collins, whom he viewed as a representation of what he detested about pop music of that time. During Collins's peak, Waters expressed his frustration in an interview with the Herald Journal, stating, "I find the ubiquitous nature of Phil Collins's presence in my life irritating." In a 1992 chat with Musician, Waters categorized songwriters into 2 groups, those who write sincerely and those who write merely for commercial success, placing Collins in the latter. Reflecting on this, Waters noted, "I seem to always wind up attacking poor Phil Collins, but it's only because he's so visible. He's a symbol of many things. My impression is that he's faking it as a songwriter. It's an act. That's why it feels unfulfilling." Waters believed it was essential for the music industry to differentiate between authentic artists and those who cater to audience expectations. Kurt Cobain. Known for voicing his opinions on fellow musicians, he championed independent bands while openly criticizing mainstream acts like Guns N' Roses. His disdain for Phil Collins stemmed from a broader aversion to the commercially polished pop music that saturated the charts in the 1980s. Like many in the alternative and grunge scenes, Cobain was influenced by underground punk, which opposed the glossy sound represented by artists like Collins. In an interview with Melody Maker, Cobain expressed his feelings towards Collins with a dramatic pause, stating, "You know what I hate about rock? I hate Phil Collins, all of that white male soul. I hate tie-dyed t-shirts. I wouldn't wear a tie-dyed t-shirt unless it was dyed with the urine of Phil Collins and the blood of Jerry Garcia." Noel Gallagher. Noel Gallagher has never been afraid to share his opinions about various artists, and Phil Collins was no exception. He has candidly criticized Collins, even making jokes about voting for the Labour Party to prevent Collins from returning to the UK. In an interview with The Guardian, Gallagher suggested that if the Conservatives were victorious, it might lead to Collins moving back. In the early 90s, Gallagher aimed to assert his presence in the music industry, which included making jabs at Collins. He didn't shy away from personal attacks, stating, "Just because you sell lots of records doesn't mean you're any good. Look at Phil Collins. People hate Phil Collins, and if they don't, they should." Despite Collins's considerable record sales compared to Gallagher, the latter insisted that popularity did not equate to influence, boldly claiming that Collins couldn't critique him because Phil Collins knows he can't say anything about me because I'm the bollocks, and that does his head in, along with the fact that he's bald. Do you think these musicians had valid reasons for disliking Phil Collins, or were their egos simply taking over? Share your thoughts in the comments.